13, was diagnosed as autistic at age 6, and my daughter, Olivia, she's neurodivergent. We're still going through a journey of diagnosis, but she exhibits signs of different neurodivergent conditions, including anxiety. And so I understand what you're all going through in terms of those limiting beliefs, in terms of not being able to achieve the things we want. And it's changeable. It's all about mindset. Controlling your mindset can unlock your potential. And we love control. We love control. The neurodivergent individuals, we love to control. We love to control because it's safe. When we're in control, we're safe. And so controlling your mindset is just taking that control to a personal next level. When you leverage that power, go ahead, next slide, please. When you leverage that power of controlling your mindset, mastering your mindset to live that life you deserve, there are 3 areas that we look at. So the first is developing that growth mindset. Embrace the challenges that come across to you in your everyday life. View failures as opportunities to learn. That's a big obstacle first, but it's doable. You shift from a fixed mindset to one that values perseverance. And every step forward is progress. So you put the effort in, and the outcomes will present themselves. Then there's overcoming limiting beliefs, and that's the one we're focusing on today. So several aspects to that. You challenge the beliefs that hold you back. You recognize them, reframe them, and replace them with more empowering truths. And the key to achieving this is persistence and self-compassion. And we'll get to more about that in a minute. The third is continuous learning. We look to highlighting the need for lifelong learning, the willingness to adapt strategies to fit personal needs and circumstances. And discuss how if you're flexible, you can come up with some innovative solutions. You can enhance your productivity through continuous learning. Today we're going to talk about overcoming limiting beliefs, because they are what's standing in the way of achieving your goals. How many of you can get behind what this brain is saying? I'm struggling with productivity because I have of my disability. I can't advance my career. I can't live my best life. These are all things that we think of, whether or not in our conscious or subconscious, on the daily. And hopefully you're on the next slide, but next slide, please. We should be now looking at how these limiting beliefs are holding us back, right? And so if you click again, we're now in how do these limiting beliefs affect our productivity? We've got these limiting beliefs, they weigh us down, right? Click, and then we click again, and we see these mental barriers come up. We look at a fear of failure. We procrastinate because we're afraid to fail. When we believe that we're not capable of completing a task successfully, share ideas, or contribute actively during team discussions. And so we limit our collaboration. This decreases in motivation. Go ahead and click again. And what you see is this all culminates into reduced initiative leads to overwhelm. And we've got all these negative self-assessments that we have lead to perfectionist tendencies. Individuals believe we must perform flawlessly. This happens so often. And so this results in excessive time spent on tasks, because we continuously refine our work rather than completing it or taking on new challenges. And so it slows down progress and it leads to burnout. This happens constantly. So if we go to the next slide, there are 3 strategies that we use to overcome limiting beliefs. The first is identifying those limiting beliefs. The second, reframing techniques and cognitive structure. This is a method to challenge and change our negative thought patterns. And then finally, it's building that support system, which doesn't come intuitively for us, for most of us. It's so important to have community and mentorship when it comes to overcoming your limiting beliefs. And so if you go to the next slide, there are several strategies to identifying that first section, identifying your personal limiting beliefs. You can, for example, journal. Think about what fears hold you back from taking risks or trying something new. These are some of my favorite journaling prompts. Sit down in a quiet area for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes to start. And just write freely. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're the only one reading this. What fears hold you back from taking risks? What fears hold you back from trying something new? Something pops in your head, just write it down. What negative thoughts do you have about your potential? And in what situations do you feel insecure or self-doubt? Doing this on a daily basis, just for 10 minutes, will help you to identify your personal limiting beliefs faster in real-life situations. Identify those triggers. Monitor your emotional responses. Once you're starting to really kind of identify what holds you back, now let's look at the triggers. What's happened that is evoking these strong emotional responses? Look at specific triggers that are linked to your limiting beliefs. Reflect on patterns. Look for recurring themes when you're facing your challenges. What's happening? Be mindful. We'll get to that third part in a minute, but be mindful, be observant. Identify those scenarios that trigger your limiting beliefs. Now, mindfulness, some people cringe when I say mindfulness, but mindfulness is not woo. They're breathing exercises that can center you, ground you, put you in that present moment to help you understand what's happening with your mind. There's things that you can do like body scan meditations, help you connect with your physical self. And again, mindful observation kind of ties into all of this. It's about focus. It's about appreciating your present moment. And it's all about why you are reacting the way you are in certain situations. And so if you go to the next slide, you can see some examples of limiting beliefs. And I'd like you to take a moment and think, do any of these resonate? Do any of these hit home? So if you click, I need to mask my true self to fit in. You always struggle competent or as competent as my peers. If we click again, we see I can't advocate for my needs without being seen as a burden. If I fail, it will confirm that I'm not capable. I can't handle criticism. All of these are examples of limiting beliefs I know that I've thought in the past. I know that I still may think from time to time. But it's how you act upon that makes the difference. It's identifying them. And so if we go to the next slide, that's all about, now you've identified these limiting beliefs, now it's time to change them. Challenge those negative thoughts. Are they real, or are you just assuming them? Reframe them to more balanced thoughts, more realistic. Focus on growth. That's a huge, huge one. It's all about learning. It's all about going forward. Remember that setbacks are not failures. They're growth opportunities. You can't, I say this to my kids all the time, you cannot grow if you don't fail. You can't learn from mistakes if you don't make mistakes. You weren't meant for perfection. You're meant for living your best life and striving towards perfection. And that journey is what makes the difference, not perfection, but the journey towards it. Use positive language, especially in self-talk. Replace that negative self-talk with positive, more affirming statements on yourself. You are your worst critic. No one criticizes you as much as you. Take control of your mind and shift to something that is more empowering, because you deserve it. And if you go to the next slide, we take now, remember our brain, and they've got examples of all those limiting beliefs that we talked about, very common limiting beliefs. And if you click again, we have muscles. And one more time, we start changing the dialogue. Now you say, embrace my authentic self, and I will foster genuine connection. I can learn and implement strategies that suit my style. Click again, I bring unique perspectives and strengths that will contribute to my success and my team's success. Expressing my needs is a vital part of working effectively, whether you're in a professional or a personal environment. Failure is a stepping stone for success. And this one, feedback is an opportunity for growth. That's one of my favorites. Because often we're so wrapped up in wanting to be perfect that hearing feedback, constructive criticism, we take it personally. Because we're so dedicated to being perfect in the moment that anything short of that is a failure. And that's the wrong way to look at it. That one has been life-changing for me, but it takes time and work. But you can do it. So we go to the next slide. And we click through to this map that we have, where we have the brain with the weight on its head, weighing it down. And if you click again, that's the path to productivity. And so if you go to the next step, if you go to the next slide, sorry, it's all about the yes and mindset. I love this. So the concept of yes and originates from an improv theater. It's a very popular improv theater exercise. And in this exercise, the performers build upon each other's ideas, accepting and adding to them. And in the context of self-improvement, personal growth, a yes and mindset, which is very empowering. And so when you reframe obstacles as opportunities for growth and learning, we can cultivate resilience and adaptability in the face of the types of adversities that we encounter often. So if you go to the next slide, one of the key principles of the yes and lifestyle is known as radical acceptance. So this is when you acknowledge and embrace all aspects of yourself. And so that includes all of the good things and all of the bad things, all of the imperfections. And so neurodivergent, less exceptional individuals like us, we struggle with self-doubt. We struggle with anxiety. We struggle of those feelings of inadequacy. And so this can be a really powerful tool for cultivating self-esteem and self-compassion. So when we do this, we learn to approach our strengths and weaknesses with non-judgment. And so instead of berating ourselves for perceived shortcomings, we treat ourselves with kindness, understanding, and forgiveness. And so this helps us build resilience and confidence. And that's something we can all use a boost of. And so that helps us navigate life's challenges, uncertainties. And so if we go to the next slide, building supportive communities and relationships is a challenge for us, but it's crucial. And so the key here is to seek out like-minded individuals, allies, people just like us. And with that inherently comes support, because we all understand what we're going through, what one another's going through. Even though our journey is inherently different and not all neurodivergent individuals are the same in any aspect, but they do have commonalities that allow us to have empathy for one another. And those supportive relationships can provide encouragement, empathy, guidance, and opportunities for growth. And that's what it's about. It's about growing. It's about empowering ourselves to embrace our authentic selves. Showing the world, each other, it's okay to be neurodivergent. In fact, it's awesome. There are awesome aspects to it. So, if you go to the next slide, I want to briefly say that there are so many practical tips to increase your productivity. You can look at ways to do time management, tasks, task lists, task breakdown. I have a little picture of the tomato because I use on a regular basis the tomato timer, which is if you are most productive, and there's been studies on this, you're most productive if you if you break up your workday into 25-minute times where you're working, and then taking a 5-minute break, walk away from it for 5 minutes. And that really has shown to cut down on distractions in the workplace and at home. And that's something that I adhere to. And if you're struggling with staying on target with tasks, I highly recommend using the tomato timer method. Reducing distractions, making sure that you have a workspace that doesn't have the opportunity to distract you. You enhance your focus, making sure that your physical, digital aspects of your workplace aren't distracting. And there's tons of technology tools that you can look into that will help you stay on task. And if you have any questions about those, I can recommend ready to embrace this change. And that is what the mindset mastery is about. All of these productivity tools are wonderful, but you have to be ready to change your mindset and say that you're ready for the change and that you're willing to work on this. And so if you go to the next slide, that brings us to our questions. And I due to the technology issues, I'm not sure that I can take questions now, Catherine. Is that something I can do? Or, I don't know. But we'll go to the next slide. And so, look, I want to close with this. So, you can, if you eliminate those limiting beliefs in your life, it's transformative. So you can go from, I'm struggling with productivity, I can't advance my career, I can't live my best life, I can't, because of my disability, or because of my past trauma, because. But once you master your mindset and overcome your limiting beliefs, and if you click, we see that once you identify those limiting beliefs, do the cognitive restructuring, build your support system, that weight is lifted, and you can be productive. You can advance your career. You can do the things to help you live your best life. And I'm going to close today with this slide that I actually posted this in LinkedIn today. This is what I posted. Give yourself permission to live a big life. Stop playing small. It's time to realize your potential and overcome your limiting beliefs. And so I'll take you to this final slide. If you have any questions, I've provided my email address. I have provided my LinkedIn. If I'm streaming on LinkedIn right now, I'd love for you to follow me. If you don't, make sure you subscribe to my Neuro Spicy Nuggets newsletter, which comes out weekly. And if you're interested in any of